We're going to do a cylinder balance test in this video. The tools that you're going to need is just a simple test light like this one and some little small pieces of vacuum hose like this one here. And what we're going to do is, the purpose of this test is to check to see if any of the cylinders are not contributing to the firing order. Very similar to like a compression test, but this is checking to see, you know, basically all we're doing is we're turning off the cylinders one at a time. We're grounding them out. So what you do to get prepared for this is, I've already installed 5 of them, and then I'm at the coil pack on this engine here. And so basically you just take a piece of vacuum hose, and it has to be vacuum hose, carbon based, not fuel hose. Fuel hose doesn't have enough carbon in it, and it doesn't conduct electricity very well. So once I've installed all of the vacuum hoses and put the spark plug wires back on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect my the clip end of my test light to a good ground source, and then I'm going to start the engine. So a good ground source is going to be the negative cable of the battery, since it's easily accessible on this engine. I'm going to go ahead and start the engine up. Okay, the engine is running now, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ground out the cylinders one at a time. So you see how the the engine changes. Notice this one here doesn't change a whole lot. We got a problem with that one there. Ooh-wee. So if you notice on this cylinder here, we were having a problem with it. Every time I went to test it, the cylinder didn't respond, or the engine didn't respond. All the rest of them did. So this one right here, we've got an issue with it. And so that is, let's see, cylinder number, how about that? It's cylinder number 3. Or no, 2, 4, it's cylinder number 4. So this one's cylinder number 4. We've got some type of a problem with it. So the customer may notice it when they're driving down the road. It didn't show up mechanically, because when we did our compression test, everything worked fine. So it's probably either a fuel issue or a spark issue that we're dealing with on this one. So anyway, now there's a couple other ways that we can do compression testing, and I'll go over those in a minute. I meant to say cylinder balance testing, not compression testing. I've removed all of the vacuum hoses and reinstalled all the spark plug wires. This is another area where you want to make sure that you don't get the spark plug wires mixed up. Another way we can do cylinder balance testing is with a scan tool. What I'm using here is the factory scan tool for this particular engine, which is the Tech 2 from General Motors. And what we want to do is we want to go into special functions. So you can do this with any generic scan tool that has the special functions feature. So I'll show you how to get to it on this particular scan tool. We're going to go into diagnostics, and then we're going to choose the car that we're working on, which is 2002 passenger car. We're going to go into powertrain, and then we're going to choose the 3.4 liter engine, and this is an N car. And what we want to do is we want to go into special functions. So we'll go to special functions, and we got engine output controls, fuel output or transmission output controls, fuel system, IAC. This doesn't really tell you a specific place for the cylinder balance test, but I just know from experience it's in the fuel system. So this is something you're going to have to play around with to kind of get an idea of where to go. So we go into the fuel system, and right up at the top here we got cylinder balance test. So we're going to click on that, and basically the way this test is run, the one I just did with the vacuum hoses, we were grounding out the ignition part of it. With this test, what we're doing is we're going to turn off the injectors one at a time. So this basically gives you a little be careful screen just to tell you to, hey, pay attention to what you're doing. We're going to hit enter and we're going to start and idle the engine. Let's get it started here. Okay, so the engine's running. We're waiting for the engine speed to stabilize. Now what we can do is we can choose what cylinder we want. So right now we're on cylinder number 1, and here's the enable, disable. So if I hit disable, we can see that the RPM changed. Now we can scroll over to cylinder number 2. Cylinder number 2, we're going to disable it. And we look for an RPM change. A little bit of an RPM change. You can really see the way the engine changed when you did that. We're going to enable it again. And then we're going to go with cylinder number 3, disable. That's a pretty significant one there. And then we're going to go to cylinder number 4. When I disable it, nothing happens. Cylinder number 4 is the one that we were having issues with before. So we're going to go to cylinder number 5. Disabled, definite problem. And cylinder number 6. And we got the same issue, or same result there. So that's another way you can do a cylinder balance test, and we came up with the same result. So with the test light, we were able to find that cylinder number 4, which is this one right down here, came up with no contribution to the firing order. And then when we did it on the scan tool, same thing. So this concludes the cylinder balance test. And like I say, just to summarize, this test is used to find a cylinder that isn't contributing to the firing order. In this case, we found cylinder number 4 that's not contributing to the firing order.